major trade for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chicago Bears. Once again, the Bears load up on the offensive line. Earlier this week, it was Jonah Jackson. This time, a big one. Sources say all-pro guard Joe Thuney, one of the best in the NFL, who of course played tackle this year in a pinch, but is a big-time guard, is expected to be traded to the Chicago Bears. This deal, of course, cannot be final until the start of the league year. If you look at what Kansas City is doing, they're already paying Creed Humphrey. They obviously are going to pay Trey Smith. They need to free up some space. Joe Thuney ends up going, I would say, similar to the Tyreek Hill trade a couple years back, a player about to get a third contract. They move on, get a little younger, free up some space. For the Chicago Bears, nothing is more important than protecting Caleb Williams. They now have one of the best in the NFL to do it.
He has that contagious attitude, that infectious kind of character that you want to see. When you talk about a team that hasn't really performed up to standard, when you talk about the Bears, and then hear about the fracturing internally, you need that stabilizing force. And I think Joe Thuney has shown throughout his career, whether it was with New England and then here in Kansas City, he knows how to be a champion, he knows how to be professional, and he knows how to be a guy that guys can rally around. He's going to be a guy in that locker room that's going to be like, dude, stop complaining. Let's just go to work.
So now maybe that changes the aggressiveness with which you pursue Drew Dahlman. And now you've got to figure out what is plan B at the center position. Jonah Jackson has some ability to play center, hasn't been great at it. Anyway, I'll leave it there for you and see what you've got to add.
You and I have seen up close the problems the Bears have at center in the past, but very quietly. I'm not saying Coleman Shelton is going to be the center of this team.
I'm with you, though, as keep him on speed dial, right?
You keep him on speed dial, keep him on the roster. I think we learned last season that if you have somebody in, like, the Bears just haven't had competency at that position relative to last year. I mean, last year, Coleman Shelton wasn't perfect, but he was pretty smooth, didn't stand out a lot, either great or bad. But in previous years, Lucas Patrick and Sam Mustipher and Cody Whitehair, that position has been a huge problem for the Bears. So, I think at this point, I mean, being that center is not considered like the premium position. I can't imagine them, Dan, at this point going after. Now that would be, maybe the Bears are doing things so differently this year that Drew Dahlman is still in play for the Bears. But my gut is that position will probably go to a guy. I'm not saying Coleman Shelton, but somebody like him.
But Joe Thuney, the veteran, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, once in New England, twice in Kansas City, gets the opportunity to go and show what he's got in Chicago and give that young group the leadership that they are so desperately in need of. And, whether he plays guard or tackle, I'm sure he'll be playing guard.
I'd play him at guard after what I saw in the Super Bowl.
Whether they play him at guard or tackle, they are going to get better at that position. And Mike knows that I firmly believe that the interior part of the dish, the pocket, the guards in the center, is where you can make or break the confidence of a quarterback, because without it, you have nowhere to step up. Without it, it muddies that pocket. Your vision, your eye level goes down. You're no longer looking down the football field. And for a guy like Caleb Williams, you're going to need that dish. He can make the guys miss on the edge. He did it a number of times last year. 65 or so plays that should have resulted in sacks, he got out of it. But Joe Thuney, huge get for the Chicago Bears. It's clear to me that Ryan Poles really enjoyed his time with Joe Thuney in Kansas City and said, this is the guy we have to have on our roster. This is a leader, a really intelligent dude, very tough, and position versatility. I think it's a home run for the Chicago Bears.
Ashton Genty now, to me, is legitimately in the conversation there if you're the Bears. You think about that. Just think about those three young guys with Odunze, obviously still have DJ Moore, but let's just go with the rookies last year. Odunze, Caleb Williams, and now all of a sudden the next year you throw Ashton Genty in there. That can be a fun trio to grow with.
So Genty would be the Gibbs of this offense, if to use the Lions template in Chicago?
He's not a one-for-one comp there with Gibbs. I think Gibbs has a little bit more top-end speed. I think Genty has more power. But, yeah, he's going to be your back. He's going to be your guy who's going to hit home runs for you and is, he can be that guy for them going forward. Also, I know you've got Cole Kmet, but if you wanted to stylistically have some fun, what if you threw Tyler Warren in there and you're out there with two tights and you've got Tyler Warren, Cole Kmet, with DJ Moore and Roma Dunze? You can have some fun creatively with that package as well. And now, without having that glaring need, maybe you're in a situation where you trade back and you could completely rebuild the interior of your offensive line. What if you just trade back a few spots and you take Gray Zabel from North Dakota State and you throw him at center, and now you have completely rebuilt the interior of that offensive line in front of Caleb?